Hey guys, how's it going? So today I am going to do a first impression let's play review of a game called the Thaumaturge. Don't comment below that I am saying the word incorrectly, because my first question to you would be, can you speak 3 languages? If you can't speak 3 languages, then you have no right to comment on my pronunciation of words. So the thaumaturge, apparently, this is what it means. A worker of wonders and performer of miracles, also known as a magician. So that's basically what thaumaturge means. I mean, we could even listen to how the Google person says it.
Thaumaturge. Thaumaturge.
So thaumaturge, I guess. Thaumaturge. So anyway, the thaumaturge, you could basically just have called it the magician or the wizard. Anyway, today I am going to be reviewing this game. I'm going to be playing it for an hour or more until I am satisfied that I can give you my final opinion on the game and tell you whether or not, in my opinion, I can recommend the game. If you are in a hurry and you don't want to watch the full 1 hour or 2 hour whatever video, then simply skip to the last 10 minutes or so of the video. I will put a link in the description below, or a timestamp in the description below, where you can just skip to, and I will give my quick, concise final opinion on the game in the last 10 minutes of the video and tell you whether or not I can recommend the game. But otherwise than that, you can just stay tuned, and I will be playing the game and giving my running commentary and telling you what I think is good and bad about the game as I play through the game today. So you might be wondering, why is the game looking like this? Why am I recording on a windowed mode instead of a full screen mode like I normally do? Well, we will get to that in just a millisecond. So this is the game. It comes from a studio called Fool's Theory. They have made one other game called 7 Enhanced Edition, but it's actually just 7. I actually played 7, and I actually reviewed 7 in 2018, May 23, so that's very nearly 6 years ago that I reviewed this game. I don't believe I ever did a video review on the game, but I did play the game, as you can see here, and I did review the game. Now, long story short, about my opinion on this game was that it was a good ARPG that was spoiled by stealth mechanics. That's basically the long and the short of my opinion of this game. ARPG that was spoiled by stealth mechanics. Now, I really like ARPGs. It is probably my most favorite genre of games, like Last Epoch, Path of Exile, Diablo 1, Diablo 2, Titan Quest, Grim Dawn. If you even want to go further back to my childhood, you could look at stuff like Nox. Nox is very good. Dungeon Siege 2 is very good. Any of those games I really like. So a ARPG doesn't really have to do a whole lot to actually impress me, and unfortunately 7 it's just a game that I liked, but I didn't like the stealth mechanics, and the stealth mechanics in the game was so overpowering that it basically made what would have been, in my opinion, a good ARPG game into a stealth based isometric game. Basically, that's what it is at the end of the day. It's a stealth based isometric game when it could have been a good ARPG game. So I have played one of these games from the studio before. The publisher is 11-bit Studios. Obviously, they publish a whole bunch of different games, but the actual developers, I did play the previous game. I know the quality that they can do. The quality of 7 was good, but I think they just went a little bit wrong with the combination of different genres, like a stealth genre together with a ARPG genre. It just doesn't work, in my opinion. It's like taking something like Deus Ex, for instance. Deus Ex Mankind Divided, for instance. It's a first-person shooter that has stealth mechanics. You can stealth throughout the game if you really want to, but you can also just go balls to the wall and just attack and shoot everyone also if you want to. And that is a good combination, because you're not gonna quote-unquote upset FPS shooter fans, and you're not gonna upset stealth mechanic fans if you don't overpower the game with either of them. And unfortunately, I think the developers overpowered 7 with too many stealth mechanics and made it basically impossible to play the game just as an ARPG. So anyway, this is now their second game that they have released. The other game released December 1st, 2017. So that is 7 years ago almost. So now after 7 years, they are releasing the Thaumaturge. I should say thank you very much to the developers of the game for sending me a code, and the PR agency representing the developers probably as well, for allowing me to play the game before the game is actually released. I cannot release the video before the embargo date, but I am playing the game before the public release of the game. Even though I do believe the game will not release into early access, it will be a full release. So we are currently playing the full release version of the game. We're not playing like a early access version or anything like that. So anyway, today we are going to play the game and look at the game to see if it is worth it or not. Now, we have a couple of issues before we even start with the game. The reason why I'm recording right now in windowed mode, desktop capture windowed mode, is because the performance of the game leaves a lot to be desired. Like a lot, a massive amount to be desired. So if we look over here, we can see GPU usage on my current settings is hovering between 80% GPU usage and 90% GPU usage, which is really bad. And the power draw, by the way, I have a 3080 RTX if you're wondering, and the power draw is constantly 280 watts of power draw, which is basically, once again, 90% of the maximum amount of power draw that my graphics card can handle. So that's very bad. We are just in the menu, and the game is already almost using 100% of the power draw and graphical capabilities of a 3080 RTX. The 3080 RTX is a very good card. It's like in the top 5 best cards on the planet. So if you don't have at least a 3080 RTX, you're not going to be able to run this game at 60 FPS in 2K resolution. Now, this is where the really terrible performance comes in. The game is currently running at 2K resolution. The game does not allow you to select a resolution if you play on borderless mode. So on full screen, it does allow you to do that, but I don't play on full screen, never. And on borderless, it doesn't allow you to select a resolution. Not only doesn't it allow you to select a resolution on borderless mode, it also doesn't allow resolution scaling at all. So a lot of games that don't allow you to select a resolution will allow you to do resolution scaling. I just recently reviewed Winter Survival, which is another game, even though, like I said, a lot of games do this, where they don't allow you to change the resolution, but they allow you to do the resolution scaling. So if you run the game at 4K resolution, then you can do resolution scaling like 70% or 75% or 80% or whatever of 4K. So if you're running it at 4K resolution and you have 50% resolution scaling, that will mean the game will be running at 1080p. So you can do that in a lot of games that don't allow you to change the resolution. This game doesn't allow any of that. It does not allow you to select the resolution, which is bad. And then on top of that, it doesn't even allow resolution scaling whatsoever. It also doesn't allow you to set the frame rate at all. Like, the game has no frame rate customization options. None at all. It is literally impossible to select your frame rate. So you can't select 30 FPS, 60 FPS, 120 FPS, 360 FPS, nothing like that. So it doesn't have resolution options. It doesn't have resolution scaling. It doesn't have frame rate options. It's really, really bad. Really, really bad. And when I run the game at 2K resolution, as I am right now, I can even apply these settings for you just so that you can see that I'm indeed running it on windowed and 2K resolution. As you can see there, it basically maxes out my graphics card. My CPU is idling. Like, my CPU is more than powerful enough to run this game. More than powerful enough, as you can see. So my CPU is not the issue here. The graphics card is working its balls off just to get 60 FPS, which I am assuming is what the game is running at right now. I'm assuming it's running at 60 FPS. Even though there's no way to tell because vertical sync is disabled. So whatever AMD FSR is choosing to run the game at right now, that is what the game is running at. So watch what happens if I remove AMD FSR on ultra performance with frame generation on. This is literally the lowest settings that you can possibly run the game with. Frame generation and ultra performance scaling on AMD FSR 3. It's the lowest possible settings you can have in the game. As soon as we go to, for instance, Intel XESS, and we can even put it down to performance mode. It can't go lower than performance mode. You can see here, all of a sudden it goes to 100% power draw, 100% GPU usage. Even if we put Nvidia reflex off, still 100, 100. It's so bad I can't even I can see my OBS struggling. I can literally see my OBS struggling when I do this. So, like, it's even difficult to just show you guys how bad this game's performance is because my OBS, due to the fact that the game uses 100% of my GPU, my OBS is telling me that it's being overloaded, which is going to affect the recording. And in fact, my OBS might crash. So I can't even show you guys properly how terribly this game runs. Like, as soon as we go on any of the other settings, like AMD FSR 3 is the only setting with frame generation on, is the only setting which does not use 100% of my GPU and 100% power draw. That's the only setting. Like, I can quickly scroll through the options and you will see immediately GPU usage and power draw goes to 100. So TSR doesn't work good. Even on low quality settings, it goes to 100, 100. No scaling, immediately goes to 100, 100. DLSS on ultra performance 100, 100. So literally the only way how I, with a 3080 RTX, am able to play this game without having 100% GPU usage and essentially making the game unplayable and unrecordable in my instance. Obviously, the average player won't be running OBS on their computer as well, even though OBS only uses like 10 to 15% of your GPU. It uses a very small percentage, relatively speaking. Simply connecting your HDMI cable to your graphics card already uses 10 to 15% when it's doing any kind of video decoding. So what we could do, even though I'm not going to do that, but what we could do is run the game at 1080p. Once we run the game at 1080p, you can see that there is a very slight drop in GPU usage. Hopefully you guys can see that. Maybe I should do something like this, for instance. Like that. Do that. And then you can see there a little bit better the stats. So you can see now it dropped by about 10% GPU usage, and it's still basically 280, 290% watts of power draw. And then once again, if I just disable resolution scaling, once again it shoots to 100% GPU usage. So that is how terrible this game's performance is. The game isn't even able to run at 60 FPS on 1080p without having some form of frame generation active. So that's really, really bad. Really, really bad. In fact, the previous game that I reviewed, which was Winter Survival, also had really, really terrible performance. Even though those developers, after I did my review, those developers actually contacted me and asked me for feedback. They asked me, what settings am I running? What is the exact GPU, CPU? What is my clock speed? What is my RAM? They asked me a whole bunch of questions to improve their game, because that game actually is still in early access. This game is not going to be in early access. So those developers actually care about their performance. They actually take in the community feedback and they want to improve their game. And obviously that involves doing multiple tests on multiple different setups, you know. I mean, they only have a certain amount of computers and a certain amount of configurations available to them, and then once the community starts playing their game, then like they're gonna have 10,000 different configurations and 10,000 different CPUs and GPUs playing their game. So I was really encouraged by the approach that those developers are having towards criticism, because I really did not like the game due to the terrible performance that the game has. But like I say, those developers actually approached me and said, give us all of the feedback you can. We really want to make the game playable, not only on your specific setup, but obviously for everyone else who has the same setup as well. Now, I'm not saying that these developers aren't going to do that, but I'm just saying that this game releases in a couple of days into full release, not early access, full release. And this is how absolutely terrible the performance is right now. So it's a little bit ridiculous. So I have two options. I can run the game at 2K resolution with frame generation on and AMD FSR and ultra performance, But that only leaves me, as you can see, basically 10% GPU usage left to do all of the other processing. And if we encounter a scene in the game that has a lot of explosions and a lot of other stuff, then we are going to perhaps encounter some stuttering, and my OBS might even crash, because my OBS has to do processing and decoding and encoding and all of that kind of stuff. So one little trick that we could do is, because the developers don't allow you to change your frame rate at all, so that's really bad. Developers don't allow you to set the frame rate at all. You can use third-party tools to do that. So we can literally use this little piece of software right here, and we can put the frame rate down to 30 FPS, like that. 30 FPS. So now the game is being forced to run at 30 FPS. I might have to restart the game just for it to actually take effect, but I believe that running the game at 30 FPS is really going to be the only way how we can get steady, smooth performance out of this game. So I'm gonna restart the game quickly. You can actually already see that it lowered a little bit. I'm gonna restart the game quickly, and then we are going to actually jump into the game. Like, I don't really need to go through any of the other options here. The game is pretty good with all of the other options. I don't really have any issues with the rest of the options. What I would like to see here is a option to choose the output. So do you want it to go to speakers? Do you want to go to headphones? Do you want to go to whatever? You know, it should have an output, a system output over here. Otherwise than that, mouse and keyboard, controller if you want to play on a controller. And the game actually does have some colorblind accessibility options, and you can increase this text size. I've disabled nudity because YouTube is really shitty about nudity. Even if it's just a second of nudity, they will still demonetize the video. They have absolutely no remorse when it comes to that kind of stuff. Like on Twitch, you could get away with that if the focus of the video is not on that, you know, but on YouTube you can't get away with it. So as you can see here now, we have dramatically better GPU usage. Power draw, GPU usage is dramatically less, and we're running with the same settings as before. 2K resolution, AMD FSR3 ultra performance enabled, all of that kind of stuff. Dramatically better performance now, simply because we knocked it down to 30 FPS. So the game is now running at 30 FPS. Okay, and as I said, even though it looks on your screen as if I'm running the game full screen, I am not running the full screen. I'm simply doing window capture. So with that being said, and the really terrible performance out of the way, hopefully it shouldn't affect us, let's jump into the game. Okay, the game is freezing. Thaumata is a word deriving from Greek. It means miracles. Oh, so that's why a thaumaturge is a miracle worker, I guess. Thaumaturge or a tempermancer is one able to discover secrets lingering in persons or places. They recognize flaws or stigmas imprinted on the human psyche and can bring them to the surface. Are they a doctor of souls? It is impossible to fully name the essence of a thaumaturge without being born one. Or you could just Google the meaning.
For years I've been seeing you in my dreams, and lately more and more. I know it's you, but I can no longer recognize your face. I don't know if I'd recognize you if I saw you. I hope your condition hasn't worsened much since you last wrote. I can hardly imagine what a nightmare you're going through. Remember, you're not alone. I'm sure our father would be happy to help, if only you asked him. I assure you that for now, I haven't said a word to him about your search or your health, just as you requested. He doesn't know your intention, and with God as my witness, he'll not find out from me. I know you think the only thing that can help you is a miracle. But such itinerant miracle workers, preachers, and folk mystics often take advantage of those in grave condition who are desperate or seeking help. I hope the man you're pursuing can actually ease your mind. But if not, remember that in the end, we will find a way to help you. Just because we can't see it now, does not mean it doesn't exist. Send word as soon as you get there. I want to know you are safe. With as much love as I have. Dikia.
For some reason he has like a spirit type thing maybe following him. Maybe it's a part of him.
Could you spare a moment for me? I'd like to send a telegram.
Of course. Pardon me, sir, but are you feeling all right?
Yes, thank you.
You're not looking your best.
Thank you.
What's your message?
Play a trick on him.
Take this down, please. Arrived. Very beautiful views. People honest at first glance. Sincerely, your barely living cripple.
I didn't mean to cause offense.
Well, then strike that, please. Take this down, please. Arrived. I think I have found him. I hope he will receive me. I will write as soon as I am able.
And payment?
On receipt.
Anything to add at the end?
Aggravate your father. Don't add anything. Send greetings to your sister. Now let's do the funny response, which is aggravate your father.
Please add, tell father I'm writing bad checks in his name all over Europe.
From whom?
My name is Viktor Szulski. S-Z-U-L-S-K-I. And Victor with a W, not a V.
Interesting name. Where's this headed?
Warsaw. Russia.
And this is supposedly Georgia. Russia here and Russia there. Russia everywhere, on every map.
Maps change.
I wanted to say, isn't Warsaw in Poland? Well, I guess this
Pardon?
story maybe plays off in a different timeline.
Which way to the village?
The coachman is picking up the mail. Maybe he'll give you a ride.
Thank you.
Loony.
You can move freely around all the locations. Find the miracle worker in the village. Okay, so it's click to move movement. Oh, but you can also move with W, A, S, and D. That's interesting. Okay. The I don't know if it's the AMD FSR that's doing it, but there's like a trailing, I'm sure you guys can see it on the video. There's a trailing thing at his feet. And also during that cutscene, I'm sure you guys saw it as well. AMD FSR is not instant. It takes like a millisecond to render the scene, because the scene is rendered and then AMD FSR is added to it. So every time that there's fur, especially when there's fur, hey, we can zoom in, especially when there is fur, the game will look different, and then the AMD FSR is added, then it changes. So like it's a little bit distracting, especially if you notice it repeatedly like I do. Then yeah, AMD FSR is not very nice to play with. Any upscaling technology is not nice to play with because it's noticeable. There's always a noticeable degradation in the quality of the game. But like I said, the game doesn't really give us any option. I'm not going to read. I'm allergic to reading. You guys, if you want to, can pause the video and read it. I'm not going to do that. Oh, I didn't want to go out, actually. As a thaumaturge, you possess exceptional perception. You can see things that are hidden from sight. You can anticipate the enemy's actions. You can follow trace of emotions, thoughts, actions, and words, and you can reach your goal easier. So you press it, and then it creates like a red line type thing. More. Okay, well, that's not more. That's literally the thing that you just told me. Let's go back. Scene transition is nice and quick. I like that. Right click for perception. Okay. It's instant. There's no animation. I like that. A lot of people might say, no, I want to see an animation, but I honestly don't want my time wasted with animations, especially if it's something like this, like you're gonna be running around right-clicking the whole fucking time, and if there was any kind of an animation in the game with that, you know, connected to the thing, actually he does snap his fingers, but it's instant. You can see it's instant, so I really like that. I don't like it if you have to pause and your character has to do an animation and then the thing happens. I don't like that. I don't like having my time wasted. So you do get experience for reading all of this stuff. Let me just disable the not sound, subtitles, game cursor. Let's choose that. I just want to... No, that's fine. Blood is fine. Where's the subtitles? Deluxe HUD. Choose whether you want to use the HUD in the deluxe version. What is that? Let's choose that, but I don't know what it is. Like, I don't see anywhere where we can turn off the subtitles. Like, am I blind? Because there's nowhere to change that. You can't tell me that you literally can't remove subtitles. Yeah, you literally can't remove subtitles. That's fantastic. Okay, well, that's another issue that the game has. They don't even allow you to change the subtitles. That's going to be really irritating.
Hello. Are you going to the village by any chance?
Hello there. Where else? There's nowhere to go here, sir. The station, the village, and the cemetery. That's all. A horse can't go any higher.
The village is what interests me.
Well, if you've got reason to be there, climb in.
Like, if you look very closely, you need to be very astute to see it. As soon as the scene changes, especially with fur and trees, in fact, you will see it changing. Like, I could, if I weren't lazy, I could pause, I could pull up my recording, pause it when it happens, and then pause it when the AMD, there, just again it happened. The AMD FSR kicks in and out of frame constantly. I don't fully understand how it works, but you can see it working. And as soon as a scene changes, the scene, it's almost like a filter is passed over the entire scene a millisecond after the scene has happened. And that is AMD FSR doing its work. There, it just happened again. Like, I'm not even doing anything, and you can literally see it working. Like, it pulses across the screen, basically. It's really irritating and it's distracting, but like I said, this game does not give you another option. Well, if you've got a reason to be in there, climb in, thank you, and get in. Ask if there's a healer in the village. Ask if he will wait for you a little longer. Yes, let's first
I want to take a
explore a little bit.
Well, I'm not going to leave you now, am I?
Thank you.
Let's have a look around a little bit. Okay, can't go there. Can't go down there. By the way, I'm moving with WASD in case you're wondering. So you can move like this with a mouse, but honestly, I prefer WASD. So there's nothing that I can really see around here at all. You can move through the characters, and also there's no sound. There's no dialogue for these things over here, so it seems the game is only partly voiced.
All set?
So is it just locals living in the village?
Who else would want to live in a shithole like this?
I actually meant, is there anyone visiting, a guest?
Ah, you came for some healing. Well, he's no guest here. He's been here months, my friend. The people are tormented, so he's sure got folks to heal.
Where might I find him?
I bet he's still in the tavern. He prays this time of day. Oh, he prays a heck of a lot. You getting in, or what?
I'd be grateful.
Always nice to have someone to shoot the breeze with. Nothing to see around here. This is everything. Hard to get lost in this place. Head to the tavern over there, past the little square, up the steps. They'll tell you where the preacher's at. Or this time of day, he'll be there himself.
Thank you.
Little bit of stuttering right there. AMD FSR is really irritating me. Like, in some games, it's not that noticeable, you know, like, especially first-person shooters. Like, you can run upscaling technology in a first-person shooter. Wow, I can actually run in here. No, I can't. You can run it in a first-person shooter. It's really not that noticeable, but in these ones where there's constant scene changes in the dialogue, it's really noticeable. I can't go that way. It's not something that only happens with FSR, by the way. It happens with basically all of the upscaling technologies. You will see that effect happening. Hey, is Lilith nearby? You can see some Lilith petals. Blah 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 blah. Influence of evil powers. So we need to click on those red things apparently. Proletariatis Brzzola.
You guys already got what's yours this week. Molchat, we're here to keep order and that don't come free. It's getting colder, so the price is getting higher.
Hey, Tid. Nice boots. Are they warm?
Show no fear, I indeed. A proud answer. It not only draws from your flow of pride's level, but will also feed it even more. Okay, what the fuck does that mean? It not only draws from your floor of pride's level, but it also feeds it more. I don't like, if it's some kind of a mechanic, then you need to explain the mechanic to me. Clicking over there, but nothing is happening. So I don't know, like, let's do it. I mean, I have no idea what it does, but the game isn't telling me what it does.
Actually, I have particularly warm boots. Thanks.
And sooner or later, these might kick their arses.
Don't tempt me, Luca. Don't tempt me. Give me a sec. Got to sort out formalities with this tourist.
It's your snummy. We're the Tsar's soldiers. Those don't look like soldiers' faces. Closer to thieves.
I don't think he'll talk to us voluntarily.
Okay, we started the fight apparently. When your enemies lose all their health points, you win the fight. The enemy's health points are shown on the bars below their feet, while your health points are represented by a bar in the bottom left corner of the screen. It's easy to win the game, just keep your health points above 0. Very easy. Okay. This guy is 11, that guy is 15. He has 3 focus, this guy has 2 focus. Okay, so the game is turn-based. Quick attack 5-6. Land attack slow 11-14. So that will kill that guy in one hit. I guess, like, I don't know what does slow even mean. Can we get some advice? No, we can't. Focus. I've got no idea what focus does, and I've got no idea what slow means. Okay, but let's do slow. Well, the guy with a fist did exactly the same damage as the guy with a knife. How does that even make sense? Action cues. Perception allows you to anticipate enemies' actions. To find out what they're planning, unfold the action cue at the top of the screen. Each skill has its own speed. Slower skills are more powerful but require preparation, bringing the risk of an enemy attacking first. Okay, so it's a turn-based game. Actually, I love turn-based games, actually. So there would be no use in doing a slow attack right now, because we can't kill him, but we're gonna have to do a quick attack and a slow attack anyway. You can use it in the very next round. So when will he attack? Okay, so he attacks over there. So I don't think it will matter if we do a slow attack and then a fast attack, even though doing a slow attack will take us into the next round, whereas a slow attack will not. So let's test the system out. Do a slow attack. And then do a fast attack. But he's gonna attack us then. But there's nothing we can do about it. We could do a slow attack and then, do a quick attack and then another quick attack. But I think it will have the exact same result. But with two slow attacks, there's a chance to critical strike, I guess. So let's do a quick attack. Pikachu, use quick attack. Dodge. Oh, you suck balls. And then another slow attack. We could do a quick attack or a slow attack. Let's do a slow attack because I like to punch his face in.
There's the Ruskies right. They won't report us. They'll be too embarrassed to admit some cripple got the better of them.
Okay, so that's that then. You get a little bit of experience. Doesn't seem like you get any loot, to be honest. What's this? Thaumaturge points. On the grimoire's cover, there are thaumaturge points that you can spend on the tree. Purchase skills, improve your powers with any dimension, and hunt salutators to enable further development. But no idea what salutators is. Do I have any points? I have 1 heart. Dimension force is 1 enhanced by flaws, pride, mind, deed, word. Okay. What's this? Upgrades. Flaw. Many people have flaws, but only thaumaturges are aware of their existence. These are blemishes on a personality created as a result of turbulent experiences. They attract salutors, and allow young thaumaturges to make a pact with their first salutor. Your flaw is pride. If you nurture it by making the right choices, it will impact the course of events in the future. Okay, my flaw is pride. It got me in trouble on more than one occasion, but also kept me out of it sometimes too. It is an integral part of me. Up here follows this flaw. I've got no idea what up here is. Increases the hard dimension force by 1. So I'm clicking on that. There's nothing that I can do. Up here. Oh, it's this dude. So maybe I can use him in combat in the future, maybe. But I can't do anything here right now. Cost 1. Cost 1. Cost 1. Cost 1. So I have 1 heart, but can I spend it on other stuff, or do I have to spend it over here? Gives 50% chance of interrupting the enemy's planned action. Reduces focus by 1 additional point if the enemy is in the suffering state. Restores your focus. Well, I have no idea what focus even is. Gives 60% chance of dealing double damage. That's really good. Develop. Okay, just like that. And then after that, perfectionism. 7 turn cooldown. Makes every attack on the enemy deal the maximum possible damage. That's very good. Okay. Upgrades available. Each skill can be upgraded. Place the upgrade in the designated spot on the skill icon. Each upgrade takes some space. Choose wisely. So oh, okay, you need to drag it over there. They don't really make it very easy to understand that, but anyway. Yeah, planned attack will always do more damage. Guess that's better. I have a fucking gun. Shoot him in the face. The tutorial is not really good. There's a bunch of stuff that isn't even explained by the tutorial.
Good boy.
I didn't even get experience for that. Sage. Of course, it's a female.
Forgive me, sir. Is your
No,
name
it's a male. It looked like a female from behind.
I forgive you.
Of course, it's Rasputin.
Sorry, it's just I've been looking for you for a very long time,
And you expected a thinking simpleton, an illiterate who swindles sick people and claims he can speak to God himself. I already said I forgive you.
yes, I've heard, especially in Petersburg. I've also heard about the healings, even hopeless cases, inexplicable ones.
And what do you believe in?
If you help me, I'll believe all of it. And please believe me when I say I've tried everything short of a miracle. And I know the meaning of that word. I'm a thaumaturge.
Where are you coming from?
I'm from Warsaw,
So, from Russia.
Poland.
From which Poland? The Russian one, the German one, or the part that belongs to Austria?
From Warsaw.
Do you have a name?
Viktor Szulski.
On my path, I've already come across people who've lied to me about their problems, and then gone around calling me a charlatan. After them, others arrived, with pitchforks and torches, and I had to endure insults and spit in my face, or flee for my life. And now you say you're a wizard from an imaginary country that no one has seen on a map in over 100 years. Forgive my amusement. I haven't had my first coffee yet.
I forgive you, and I'm still asking for help.
Prove you're a thaumaturge, and I'll hear what you have to say.
What would you like me to do, sir?
I've met a few of your kind, so I know what you're capable of. Find something in this tavern that belongs to me, and tell me something only I could know.
First, I need to have something personal that belongs to you to learn your trace. It's a sort of pattern I'll use to recognize the other objects.
Smell this.
Prayer beads. Blah blah blah. I don't care. Doesn't make any. Oh, draw a conclusion. Oh, so we have to actually make an observation. So the game has an investigation side to the game. Steel gushing from the bead impregnates the wool better than the tallow from the owner's strong fingers. The object pulses with a mixture of blue rapture, purple passion, and graphite fierceness. The touch of the beads burns, but it also attracts. Okay. Rapture, passion, fierceness. Rasputin has a magnetic zeal and passion. He is a man with an attractive personality, strong and fierce, who is easy to follow. One just has to be careful not to get burned by the flame of his ardor.
I'll return to you in a moment.
I can hardly wait.
Okay, so you don't need to do any investigation. Observations are information that you acquire by interacting with people and items. Observations can make up conclusions, a valuable source of knowledge about the world and events that can help you in different situations. Thaumaturges possess perception, which allows them to read other people's emotions, actions, and words. In order to recognize them, you must develop the heart, deed, word, and mind dimensions sufficiently. In some items, you will find a trace of someone's personality. It takes one of three forms: unknown, familiar, you have seen it before, certain, you know who left it. Traces are only revealed once you pass the test of perception on the item.
Let's take a look around. Damn it. Who would have thought there were such layers of passion within him?
I'm not gonna read that because evidently it's not required. So that one over there is the chair.
What have you learned, wizard?
Well, you're a zealous man. It permeates every level of your personality, your faith, your abilities.
Not such an impressive discovery.
I haven't finished yet. In Petersburg, you left behind a very devoted and very young lady-in-waiting.
At least one, my friend. Have a seat. Tell me again, why were you looking for me?
I can't help but ask you about that young lady from Petersburg.
Careful, I'm starting to like you. But not enough to tell you about Petersburg. How do you think I might help you?
Petersburg.
A few years ago, I attempted to catch a wild salutor, and that ended with me losing contact with my first salutor. That means I can't develop my abilities. I know that my Uber is there. Sometimes he shows himself, but I can't feel the link anymore. Generally speaking, I'm losing it more and more each day. If it disappears, my mind, I'll lose my sense of reality. I'll fall into madness.
I don't know if I can help you.
I've got money, if that's what matters.
Give it to the needy. Your riches mean nothing to me. I meant I don't know if I'm able to help you. My gift is something I've received from God. Some I've helped, others I can't say. And I've never treated a thaumaturge.
Maybe just do the same with me as with the others.
We can try. Focus on my voice. You are safe. As long as you can hear my voice, you are safe. Let me gaze into your mind. Let me see through your eyes. Let me...
Where am I? Rasputin. There's no one in here. I need to get out of here. What is this sound? Shackles?
You're blind. You've never grasped the science of spotting the perfectly obvious. Can you still not see?
What do I supposedly not see?
Flaw clouds your vision. It always has. Pride. Your damned pride and sense of superiority.
I must have gotten that from you, Father.
You'll lose, idiot. You always do. You're even losing against yourself. You can't see, but can you at least hear? You're weak, stupid, and blind. Do you hear me? Do you? Do you?
I can see, Father. Clearly.
Will you be lying there much longer? I wanted to sweep.
Where's Rasputin?
In the cemetery, chasing away evil spirits and giving people comfort. You all right?
Yes, absolutely.
I wanted to sweep.
I'm just heading out. It's so good to see you again. And something else. I saw him clear as day. It wasn't a vision. It was a salutor, unbound by a pact. A wild one. And if so, that means there's someone in the village with a flaw that's attracting it.
You talking to me?
I was praying.
I wanted to sweep.
Salutor is basically these creatures. It's like a spirit type thing. Am I getting achievements if the game isn't even released yet? Okay, so perfectionism. How long does it last? Makes every attack on the enemy deals maximum damage. So that, I'm assuming, is something that you can add to a single enemy, but not multiple. That's very good. Can we get it? That. Like, I don't know if I should continue. Action, reaction. I don't know if I should continue on this path or if I should jump to another path. Holy shit. 23, 24, but like, is that a slow attack or what is that? I can't add it. But anyway, let's add this one there. Then it has a 50% chance of interrupting an enemy planned action. So if an enemy is maybe gonna do a strong attack, I can just do a quick attack and hopefully interrupt it. Quests have multiple objectives. Freely switch from for the one you'd like to track. After switching, the objective will reveal a path to follow. Sometimes this path is so mysterious that it even eludes an experienced thaumaturge. No worries, the remaining objectives will provide a way to solve the quest. Find the person with a flaw. So I think let's do this one and then we can do the Cemetery Rasputin one.
I felt something.
They'll go gawk, but without lifting a finger. Just Vesna will bring it, Vesna will help. But if Vesna needs help with something, there's nobody to be found. That's not yours, don't touch. All these newcomers causing more problems.
Am I sensing?
Yeah, so you don't, it seems, you don't need to read any of this. You don't need to remember any of this. The game does it all for you. Which essentially means that the game doesn't really have a investigation system or an investigation mechanic. It really just has a run around and click on stuff mechanic. Impetuous, so that is the flaw, impetuousness.
I wanted to talk. Ma'am, please open the door.
Please go. We didn't invite any guests over. I'm telling you, go away, or I'll call for help. Help! Help! Somebody help me!
What are you doing here, you tramp?
I'm not looking for trouble.
I'm gonna bust your faces in.
We'll talk, all right.
Talk with fisticuffs. Holy shit, 36. Strong attacks and focus. In order to launch a strong attack against an enemy, you must take away all of their focus, causing them to enter the breakdown state. Strong attacks are much more powerful than other skills and allow the fight to end quicker. Okay, so this one is one focus. So you can diversion and then bust his face in. This guy, isn't he gonna attack? Okay, so that guy is doing a planned attack, 8 damage. This guy is gonna do a hook. So we can do a diversion. And then the target's health points determine how much damage the skill inflicts. The more health points, the higher the damage. It restores your health by 0, which is half of what you've lost. Each subsequent action that restores health points will restore less. Okay, so we can do this one. Strong attack opportunity. The enemy has lost all of their focus and is now in the breakdown state. It's a great chance to launch a strong attack. Okay, he clipped through the earth. We knocked him through the earth, literally.
You could say that, sure.
Okay, so I don't want to go in there right now, even though it is where we are supposed to go. I want to search for more stuff, because we do get experience. Someone has strangled the goose. That's not very nice.
Over my dead body. I reject this verdict.
Well, I expected as much. and he wanted to come see you himself. He was first to judge.
I said what I said, and I won't change my mind. Go away. You're attracting gawkers.
Not gawkers, a witness. And let him listen. He'll see it fairly. Sir, this liar and thief here stole a memento of my mother. And this witch says I'm supposed to hand my goose over to him too?
Because you strangled mine. Now what do I care about some trinkets your mother left you?
Because we already know you strangled the goose, but you still haven't proved that Bogdan stole your pendant.
Where is the justice here?
Why don't you relax and listen to the words of a wise woman?
Well, all in all, I'm sorry, Bogdan.
Come inside, and tell me what you're doing here.
So apparently if you pass a stats check, basically, then you can influence certain dialogue events. I received a point. Makes me lose focus instead of taking damage. I wish we could see these other ones, but I guess you can't do that until you've unlocked the salutor. We also are going to need to get one in each of these in order to do various events. Like in that tavern, I wasn't able to read the mind or the deed things that Rasputin had because I don't have enough of these. Reduces focus by additional point if the enemy is in suffering state. So if they're already in a suffering state, how can you reduce their focus even more? Because they enter a suffering state when they have no focus left. So what does it help to? Like, reduces focus by 1 additional point if the enemy is in suffering state. I don't understand how that works. Because they're in suffering state, that means they have no focus left. So how can you reduce their focus even further? That's weird. Let's actually swap that one around. Put this one over there.
The villagers seem to have a certain respect for you, ma'am, so I wanted to ask your help with something.
I'm not getting any younger, boy. Talk before I drop dead.
Okay, so
I hope you'll still be alive when I get back, madam?
Let's save, perhaps. I don't think she's conning the villagers. I'm not getting that feeling from her. But we need to search more before we are able to draw a conclusion. So let's come back here later because we don't have the thing yet. We haven't clicked on all of the little objects yet. That's really what this game comes down to. You have to click on all of the objects. It's like a point and click game essentially. Apart from the combat, obviously. So is that all? Because I'm not seeing any more. So I could go to Rasputin right now. But I don't know if I should finish this quest over here first.
I wanted to talk. Ma'am, please open the door.
Please go. We didn't invite any guests over. Please leave. Please, please.
Okay, so apparently I can't progress that quest. So it's probably tied to the old lady quest or to Rasputin's quest. So let's go to Rasputin then. See, now it's pointing this way. But as soon as I stand over here, it's not pointing anywhere anymore. It's only pointing this way. So that's weird.
Excuse me. I need to get to the local cemetery. Could you give me a lift?
I've only just come back from the post office this morning. I'm not getting the horse going again. Back to the cemetery. It's not like anyone there is going to run away. And look, my horse is more dead than alive.
Okay, something continues to elude.
I'll be right back.
Using thaumaturge, you can manipulate other people. First, you must know a person's secrets, which you can learn by making conclusions. If the manipulation is available, the character interaction icon will change and the UPR will appear next to the character.
I'm not going anywhere.
Maybe you'll change your mind and drop me off at the cemetery after all.
Well, on the other hand, this place isn't much more exciting than the cemetery, and I meant to take the horse out for a ride, so get on.
So what happened to your more dead than alive horse all of a sudden? Unless that was just a lie. Horse looks okay to me. Guess we can save again. I don't want to talk to him right now.
You're alive. Does that mean I helped, Thaumaturge?
I see him. My Uper. He's back. I can feel our bond growing stronger as each moment passes.
I'm happy for you, but do restrain your joy. We're in the cemetery.
I don't have enough words to thank you for what you've done for me. I haven't felt this way in years.
I'm glad I could help.
When I heard you were at the cemetery, I was sure I'd see you resurrecting the dead.
Not yet. Today I'm just praying for rest for Vasily's soul. The whole village is suffering after his loss. He was the elder here.
He cursed this place. Since he died, darkness and misfortune have hung over the village.
You see? To them, every harm comes down to witchcraft. They believe that after Vasily's passing, the village was possessed by some monster that howls at night or some other Yafits.
How did this elder die?
There was a fire, sir. Flames shooting sky high, and him burning, swearing, speaking curses. And the curse stuck. Those ruins seem a profaned place now. A wicked spirit has taken over the blighted land.
Don't encourage her. Once she gets going, it can't be stopped.
This could also be the work of a salutor.
What do you mean?
What changed in the village after the elder died?
It's all dreadful, sir. Everything's gone topsy-turvy. When folks get to arguing now, they're so hot-headed, before you know it, they're at one another's throats. Ladies have no patience for kids, nor lads for ladies, nor neighbors for neighbors. Any word might seem offensive and like an insult waiting to happen. Then you've got to fight.
Tragedies such as Vasily's death leave their mark on everyone. It takes time to come to terms with something like this. That doesn't mean this place is possessed by dark forces.
As you were healing me, I had a dream, a vision. But on the borderline of sleep and wakefulness, I thought I saw a salutor. That's what might be influencing the villagers in Wailing at night.
They're good people, but none too bright, Victor. I'm afraid they might be talking about a train.
The wise woman was saying the evil spirit is a book of hatch.
Does the creature hunting you rattle chains, slither around, and have a mouth full of giant fangs?
A book of hatch.
Where did this elder live?
I'll show you. Let's allow Vasily's soul to rest for today. Amen.
And homestead. Village. Okay, well, before going back to the village, let's go to the burned homestead. Why not? By the way, the loading times of the game is very fast because I have the game installed on a very fast NVMe drive. So do not expect to get such quick load times unless you have the game installed on a very fast NVMe drive.
Can you feel it? It's the smell of mystery. A horrible death.
This game really does come down to being a point-and-click game with sometimes turn-based combat. Like, that's really what the game looks like right now. You just run around spamming the ability, and
I felt something.
every now and then you will get attacked. That's really it. That's the entire game, from what I can see right now, at least.
This house was always full of fear, and its owner was still alive when the house caught fire. Someone wanted to kill him. The fire only covered up the crime. Grandmother gave birth to the flaw that you attached to, didn't it? I'll find you when I track down the murderer. I know who owns this doll. Maybe I should give him back to her. She ought to know more about what happened here.
Victor! I hope you've got what you want now, Thaumaturge. Because I think it's time to get out of here.
Why the hurry, Father? We're the Tsar's men. How about the donation for the Tsar's army?
There are no Russian outposts here.
I think this is the guy with the nice boots.
You're the guy who trashed our comrades?
I can do exactly the same to all of you.
He's not as weak as he looks. He actually looks better than he did the other day.
But not counting the priest. He's still alone.
Not anymore, I'm not.
Gonna donate my fist into your face. Okay, so all of these guys have one focus, so I can immediately destabilize them by just taking away their focus. I don't even need to do a big attack, even though both of these have the same attack speed. Right in the balls. One. But this one is going to do 6 to 10. The other one is going to do 8, but it's also going to reduce my focus, but I don't think that's so bad. Let's go after this one, I think.
Can these salutors also help you in a fight? Can you manipulate people and cast these demons into their minds?
Generally speaking, yes. Are you sure you're right, sir?
Call me Grigori.
Let's head back. I have to visit someone in the village who can tell me more about what happened here.
So we now have the doll that we can give to Vasna, which should allow her to open the door. Let's just save once again.
Now I know that woman's trace. Vesna and her husband both left traces of themselves at Vasily's burned-out farmstead. Lucas sincerely loves his wife. You think he loves her strongly enough to kill for her?
This guy is very talkative.
It'd be better to ask Vesna about that. I wanted to talk. Ma'am, please open the door.
Please go. We didn't invite any guests over.
Please open the door. I'd like to have a chat about your husband.
You'd better not be here when he gets back. He's not as talkative or polite as I am.
I know you're scared, but please just open the door a crack and let me ask one quick question.
What do you want?
This will give me 1 extra heart, so that's good.
Please, don't be afraid. I just need to know where I can find...
You also get experience from using these abilities.
Chopping wood in the clearing by the forest.
You see, you get experience for using those. Whereas if I just gave her the doll, then it would progress the quest, but I probably wouldn't get any experience. Let's check if I have any additional options here yet.
Let's take a look around.
Oh, there's something new.
You've been going in so many circles, your head will spin.
And that tragedy at the Elder's farm, did it affect people badly?
Some less, others more. He was like an icon to some folk here.
But I found out he could be heavy-handed.
He was a drinker and a beater. So, some folk here don't miss him one bit. Have you got many more nosy questions?
Well, we could do this one. We need to search a little bit more, so let's search a little bit more first.
You'll still be alive when I get back, madam.
Well, it's saying additionally. Yeah, still haven't found everything, so let's not do that right now.
Again.
This time, it's a matter of life and death.
How is your search going?
Almost finished. I know who's attracting the Bukavach.
Can you reveal that secret?
It's Luca. It has to be Luca.
Do you still want to catch that salutor?
Yes, absolutely.
Despite the risk?
I hope I can persuade you to come with me.
That's an enormous favor you're asking me. I hope you'll be able to return it.
I give my word.
Did you hear? We're going to see Luca Bogosian.
He doesn't need to come with me. Like, why? Why is it a requirement?
I'm not here to fight.
Luca!
You shouldn't have threatened my wife.
Why did you do this?
I don't know what you're talking about.
You're the one who brought the Salutor here. The spirit that you all say arrived in the village after Vasily's death. The Salutor is what's making fear consume you all and making you hot-headed. And it's because of your flaw, which has been within you since the murder took place.
A murder might just be about to take place.
Cut off his head.
What?
Tear off his head before he opens his mouth again.
Unless you're the one that killed him.
And I'd do it again if I could. Get out of here!
Here you are, Bukavat. Vesna's flaw is mine, and yours.
Balanced is fine. We've been on balance the whole time. Fighting wild salutors. Defeat a wild salutor. You must get rid of the shadows that protect him. Vanquishing the shadow will weaken him, but the weaker he is, the more fiercely he will fight back. The bard tells you when the salutor sends more enemies against you. Vanquishing the shadow will weaken him. Okay, so we have to fight this guy. We can't fight the salutor. This guy's 5 focus. I think we're just gonna go full out attack. We're not gonna bother reducing his focus. What attack is he gonna do? Oh, well, that's very little damage. Oh, double damage. It's painful. Bukovac has caused you to enter the suffering state. States can have a benign or potentially deadly attack. Read the descriptions carefully. How am I in the suffering state if I still have a lot of focus? Receives 2 damage at the end of each round. Okay. So this one has 1 focus, that one has 4 focus. We could potentially kill this guy in 1 hit, but I think my strong attack will do the job. So we're gonna make him enter a state, and then we can attack her. So he enters the state. He attacks me, that's fine. Then I bust his face open. Okay, so she's gonna attack me now, basically. It didn't interrupt her, unfortunately. Would have been nice if it interrupted her. How is she not dead yet? Shouldn't she have been dead now?
You lose. You're going crazy again, you blind fool.
A little faith, Thaumaturge. Focus on what's true. My voice is true. I am the truth, you see. Look.
You defeated Bukavak, the deed dimension salutor, but you cannot tame him on your own. Rasputin comes to your help. The untamed salutor won't obey your orders, stops you from developing, and weakens your perception. Fortunately, Rasputin soothed his anger. You achieved the unachievable.
Unbelievable.
How do you feel? Are you all right?
Well, I don't think I'm hallucinating, but that means I'm currently facing a crowd of furious lumberjacks with axes, so I'd say I've been better.
What? What? I'm telling the truth. I do it again. None of you understand anything. It's because of this magician. It's his fault.
The magician didn't kill Vasily. He didn't bring the evil here. You're a witch! To the stake with her! To the stake!
And you... why are you just standing there? Are you just letting them do this? Fine. I'll handle it myself. I did it before, and I can do it now.
What have you done? Go. You don't need to see this.
To art.
Nothing has to be decided at the moment. Certainly not things that can't be undone.
Well, exactly. Beat it, you scoundrels. There's enough blood in this village already.
Sharing a village with murderers?
You were the first to spill blood!
It's not the same. If that's the case, you're banished from the village. Get out of here! We'll burn away the impurity you left in our village. Phew.
Gain the point. So I've got 2. Why does it show 2, 1, 2, 1? Anyway, allows you to blah, blah, blah. Okay, so now we can see these skills over here. Cast state on a random enemy, suffering. Stores health points for every enemy in the suffering state. Each subsequent action will restore less. Interrupts enemy's action if the enemy is in suffering state. Leaves 16 damage in the last round of the state's duration. You can even unlock more over here as well. Bad. This one is automatic, I think. No, that's also a skill upgrade. So for that one. So is the cooldown on it seven turns, or does it last 7 turns? That's what I want to know. Hey, and we have a suffering thing now. It might last that amount of turns. So this thing makes every attack deal the maximum damage possible. But is it only on one enemy, or does it actually get casted on me? Hey, you can actually rotate him. Pretty cool. I don't quite understand this ability. We can try that. Oh, I'm back at the rail station.
Excuse me, sir. Do you happen to know when the train arrives? The postmaster said it's usually no more than an hour late, so it should be here any moment. I got a tougher question for you.
Pardon?
Will this train get me close to Albuquerque?
I'm afraid that's an ocean away, and even to the ocean you've got a ways to go.
Thank you. Ever since I took a wrong turn at Albuquerque, I can't get my bearings. The things I've seen, sir. Places I've been. I just can't get to Albuquerque.
I wanted to send 2 telegrams, one to Warsaw and one to Paris.
Mr. Shulsky, I was meant to send for you when the driver came to get the mail. My condolences about your father. Do you still want to send something?
Did you come to say goodbye to me?
More like to share my fear. Your condition yesterday, after the fight with that Bukovac, it troubled me. I don't think my treatments are having a long-lasting effect. And you don't look the best. Do you feel all right?
I've just heard that my father is dead.
My condolences.
After your treatment, when I was hallucinating, I saw him. I heard his voice for the first time in years. I'm sure it was him. A strange feeling.
Maybe he came to say goodbye. Maybe it was his last chance to speak to you. A prophecy.
I hope not.
What do you intend to do now?
Just a moment ago, I was thinking about Vienna or Budapest and going on from there to Paris, but now I've got to get to Warsaw first. What about you?
Thanks to you, I don't think I have anything else to do here. I had a little time to think about what I saw in your mind. Tell me, Victor, have you ever seen a human skull cracked open on the cobblestones?
I haven't.
I have. The skull of Franz Ferdinand himself, with his brain spilling out onto the sidewalk. I also saw the white steps in Odessa running with blood. A battlefield blanketed in lethal fog, with faceless beings emerging from it. This hasn't happened yet, but I saw it as clearly as I see you now. Thanks to you, I know that I can stop it. I know that I am part of history, and I can change it. Even at the cost of scorn, contempt, or my life. You promised me a favor, so Warsaw sounds perfect.
Prologue. A lot of stuttering.
Warszawa! Warsaw! Warsaw! Last stop, Warsaw. Time to wake up.
It's clouding over.
The weather is like my mood.
Aside from the circumstances of the funeral bringing you back, you hadn't thought of ever returning here?
The only person I consider close is my sister, but Varsovians? Let's see. Workers are striking. They want to take advantage of the Tsar's visit to Warsaw. The protests are being violently suppressed. Last week, around a dozen people were killed. Polish Socialist Party militants attacked a train. They stole money, bonds, and explosive materials. They're also suspected of robbing a transport of Dutch pomade. The socialists in Warsaw must look pretty sharp then. Further along, we've got murders, muggings, and poverty.
The newspapers feed on sensation. Remember that in darkness, even a small spark can be seen clearly. Even I can feel hope from all the people riding with us, can't you?
Even without my powers, I can tell that hope is bringing people here from all three partitions. Miners, steelworkers, governesses, maids, speculators, thieves. I've gotten to read a few of our fellow passengers' possessions, and I know that hope can have many faces.
Will you share that knowledge with me?
There's a terrified woman riding with us. She's either running away or in hiding. I think that gentleman is smuggling something, because excitement is all mixed up with guilt inside him. And this dandy, he's going whoring.
If there's something I've learned in life, Victor, it's never to neglect the horse.
Warsaw, end of the line. Welcome to Warszawa.
I think the time's come to ask where you plan to stay.
I'll let you know when I come up with something.
And the game freezes. Finish your business in the village and go to Warsaw. I didn't finish my business in the village, so I don't know what you're talking about. Like, I still obviously wanted to talk to that old lady in the house, and there was still at least one investigation that I needed to finish, because when I tried to speak to the lady, to the old lady, there was one option at the top that wasn't available to me, which means that I was still missing an investigation somewhere, and probably now it is impossible to go back, which is not good, you know. I don't like it if you are playing a seemingly RPG like this, and yet you are just yanked out of the place where you are still busy exploring and just living out your RPG experience. You're just yanked out of it and taken to another place without your consent, you know, because I wanted to find out what that old lady, you know, the quest with the old lady, why the village was against her and all of that kind of stuff. Did she really put a curse on that other man, whoever it was? And yet, like I say, we were just yeeted out of there, and we didn't get to finish that quest, and we will not be able to finish that quest probably ever, because we won't be able to go back to the village. So I don't like that. I don't like the fact that you aren't given freedom to go where you want when you want. It would have been nice if they asked you at the end of that battle if you want to leave the village, but they didn't even do that, so that's not nice. Otherwise than that, I mean, this game really reminds me of a game like Hand of Fate, for instance. If you've played Hand of Fate, it's a turn-based card game. It really reminds me of that game. You could also say that the game is a little bit like Slay the Spire or any of those turn-based, card-based games. You're essentially using card-based abilities, and you basically have a deck that you can use, and you can upgrade your deck with passive abilities as well. This, I only have one flaw right now, apparently. Can we do this? Can we do anything here? Nope. Can't click there, can't click there. So I don't know, I guess you will acquire more flaws as you play through the game. You will acquire different salutators. They basically will just allow you to approach the combat in the game on different ways, you know, like this one seems to do damage over time, whereas this one does more damage in a single hit, you know, and it can also heal you. And then you get 2 salutators per thing, so you get 2 for heart, 2 for mind, 2 for deed, and 2 for word. So yeah, the game does have a character progression system. It's okay, you know, it's okay. Like, I'm the type of person who more prefers like the classical dexterity, strength, intelligence, stamina type stats. These aren't really stats, they are more like stats that allow you to use different dialogue choices. So they are dialogue related, quest related stats, and they happen to be able to, for each one that you spend, you get a card, and you can add that card to upgrade your abilities. So that's basically all that they do, in addition to allowing you to choose various dialogue options. So yeah, that's the character progression system. The investigation part of the game is really just a point and click system. You run around the game spamming right click everywhere, and then if you see something, you click on it. That's really it. You don't need to read anything, you don't need to remember anything. You literally just need to run around clicking your fingers and clicking on anything that comes up. That's really the quote unquote investigation system of the game, and that simply allows you to progress through different quests, even though, as we've seen, you don't even need to do all of the investigations, because the game allows you to move on even if you haven't completed the investigations, as we did see there in the village. So calling this an investigation game really is a misnomer. It's not an investigation game, it's more of a point and click game with turn-based combat, or occasional turn-based combat. That's really what it comes down to. So yeah, like, I mean, honestly, I'm not a huge fan of the game, I have to be honest. I like turn-based games. In fact, I fucking love turn-based games. Like Final Fantasy IX is, in my opinion, one of the best games ever made. So I really, really like turn-based games. This type of turn-based combat, it's okay, but not a huge fan of it. Like Hand of Fate as well. I'm not a huge fan of the Hand of Fate combat. I'm not a huge fan of the Slay the Spire combat. You can see that our quest that we had of the lady is gone now, so we don't even have that anymore. So they just completely take away any quests that you didn't complete, even though I wanted to complete that quest, but the game doesn't give you a an option. Hey, you can actually change your clothes as well. The game didn't even tell me about that. The red one looks better. So yeah, like, honestly, you're looking for a turn-based game, almost like Slay the Spire or Hand of Fate. You know, this game is very much the same as those types of games, and then it just basically has a can't even say an investigation game system. It's more of a point and click system, just tacked onto the game, tacked onto the turn-based combat system. The game has voiced cutscenes, which is nice. The rest of the game is not voiced. It's literally just the cutscenes that are voiced. So all of this is not voiced, obviously. And I mean, the graphics is good. You know, graphics is good. It's a little bit janky here and there. You know, the game is a little bit janky, but the graphics is good, even though the game runs fucking terribly. Like I showed at the beginning, the performance is abysmal. And right now, you cannot play the game at 60 FPS with anything less than a 3080 RTX, which is really bad. Probably less than 10% of gamers have a card that is equal or better to a 3080 RTX, which means probably less than 10% of gamers will be able to play this game at 60 FPS, and that is whilst having the game run with AMD FSR 3 and frame generation enabled. So unless you're willing to knock down the quality of the game, you know, knocking down the texture quality, effects quality, shadow quality, all of that kind of stuff. If you're willing to do that, then you would be able to run the game at a lower quality with a worse graphics card than a 3080 RTX, but then the game will look worse, you know. So that's just one of those things. So yeah, the game developers have some real work to do with regards to the performance of the game, which right now is fucking terrible. And the game does not allow you to select your frame rate, so there is no frame rate options whatsoever in the game. You can't play the game at 30 FPS, 60 FPS, 120 FPS, 144 FPS, 360 FPS, 240 FPS. No options like that whatsoever. And you also can't turn off the subtitles of the game. The game has forced subtitles at all times. And you also cannot select the resolution of the game unless you play on windowed mode. That is literally the only way how you can select the resolution. Windowed and full screen mode are the only two. You cannot select your resolution at all when playing on borderless mode. There isn't even there isn't even a resolution scaling. The game doesn't have any form of resolution scaling whatsoever. So yeah, that in addition to not being able to select your frame rate is, like I say, going to make the game basically unplayable for anyone who doesn't have a 3080 RTX right now. Obviously the developers will hopefully work on that, but the game releases in a couple of days, so I'm literally playing the full release version right now. So be aware that if you want to play the game, you are going to not be able to run the game at 60 FPS unless you're willing to run the game at anything lower than 2K resolution, and you are going to have to have the upscaling like DLSS or Nvidia FSR on constantly, which, as we've seen, has some issues, and the game also has some stuttering issues as well. So really, at the end of the day, I don't know what the price is of the game yet. Normally I would know a price, but since I'm playing the game before the game is actually released, I don't know what the price is. So I just really have to consider a price, like in my opinion, let's say the game costs $30. Would I recommend the game for $30? No, I probably wouldn't. I don't know. The game is just not particularly enjoyable, in my opinion. Like I said, I really like turn-based games. Final Fantasy 9, Final Fantasy 10. I really like those games. It's some of the best games, in my opinion, that have ever been made. Final Fantasy 9 and Final Fantasy 10. So I really like turn-based games, but I don't particularly like Hand of Fate. I don't particularly like Slay the Spire. If you like those games, then you will like this game's turn-based combat. I don't like this game's turn-based combat particularly. And that really just leaves the rest of the game. I don't like the turn-based combat, so the rest of the game is, like I said, just a point-and-click game, really. You run around and you click on stuff. That's the game. It's a point-and-click game. And I don't like point-and-click games. So I don't like the combat, and I don't like the point-and-clicking. So that's my opinion. Obviously, it will differ from player to player. If you're a player who likes Slay the Spire combat and Hand of Fate combat, and if you're also a player who likes point-and-click games, then this game might appeal to you. But it doesn't appeal to me, so in my opinion, I can't really recommend the game. It's just not a particularly enjoyable game, in my opinion. I would much rather play a game like Divinity Original Sin 2, for instance. Divinity Original Sin 2 is very much like this game. Divinity Original Sin 2 also has essentially turn-based combat. It has good graphics, comparable to this game's graphics, even though Divinity Original Sin 2 runs much better than this game, and actually does look better than this game as well, all things considered, even though Divinity Original Sin 2 is years and years older than this game. And the character progression of a game like Divinity Original Sin 2 is just far better. I like the character progression more. I like the turn-based combat of that game more. I like the storytelling of that game more. It's just overall a better game, in my opinion. You could also compare this game to something like Baldur's Gate 3, for instance, even though I think that Divinity Original Sin 2 is a much better game than Baldur's Gate 3. That's just my opinion. Baldur's Gate 3 is buggy, there's glitches, doesn't run particularly well, all of that kind of stuff. So yeah, I would definitely recommend a game like Divinity Original Sin 2 over this game. They are both comparable, but the storytelling, the open world aspect, the voice acting, all of that kind of stuff, the character progression is just better in Divinity Original Sin 2 than what you would get in this game, in my opinion. So yeah, long story short, I can't really recommend this game. That's really the long and the short of it. It doesn't run particularly well. In fact, it runs really terribly unless you're willing to take some performance and quality compromises on the game. The storytelling is okay, but yeah, overall I'm not really that engrossed or invested in the story, to be honest. So yeah, that's really it. That's all I have to say about the game. It's not really a game that I can recommend, especially since there are, in my opinion, better games of this type already available on the market. You could even take something like Wastelanders. Is it Wastelanders? Let me have a look here quickly. 1 second, the game is gonna pause because the game pauses when you alt tab. I think it's Wasteland 3. Wasteland 3. Yeah, Wasteland 3 is, in my opinion, much better. Like that. Let me show you guys over here. Wasteland 3 is a much better game, in my opinion. It's still very much comparable to Thaumaturge, and it's very much comparable to Divinity Original Sin 2 as well. It's a very, very good game, in my opinion, Wasteland 3. It's also turn-based. It also has, as far as I can remember, voiced dialogue throughout the game. The graphics is good. I mean, I can show you over here. Graphics is good. It's turn-based combat, very much like Divinity Original Sin 2 as well. It's not turn-based combat like Thaumaturge is, but it's still turn-based combat. It's just a different type of turn-based combat. So yeah, I would very much more recommend something like Wasteland 3 or Divinity Original Sin 2 over Thaumaturge. And then, like I say, I don't know what the price is of Thaumaturge yet, but it is probably going to be around $30, and that would put it squarely in competition with a game like Wasteland 3 or Divinity Original Sin 2. I mean, take your pick of other games in the similar price range. If we look over here, like this, you can see already Divinity Original Sin is suggested. Jagged Alliance 3 is another game that I would compare to Thaumaturge and Divinity Original Sin 2. Both of those games are also better, in my opinion, to Thaumaturge. There we see Divinity Original Sin 2. Even something like XCOM 2 or Battletech, both of which I have invested quite some time playing as well. Like I said, Baldur's Gate 3 as well. All of these games, in my opinion, is better than Thaumaturge. They perform better, they run better, it's a smoother experience. The character progression in these games are better than in Thaumaturge, in my opinion. It's just overall a better experience, and most of these cost around $30. Baldur's Gate is too expensive in my opinion. I have done a review on Baldur's Gate 3, and I did mention that it costs too much money in my opinion. It's not worth $50 or $60, whatever it costs. And XCOM 2 is definitely worth the money in my opinion. Battletech is okay. It's not as good value as something like XCOM 2 or Divinity Original Sin 2 in my opinion, but it's still good value. And if Thaumaturge costs $30, which it probably will cost around $30, then it's just a game that I really can't recommend. Even though, like I said, even for $30 or $20 even, Thaumaturge is a game that I just can't recommend because it's not enjoyable in my opinion. At the end of the day, it's just not enjoyable. So yeah, that's really my opinion of the game. Like I said at the beginning, the developers sent me code for the game to play before the game actually releases. So thanks very much to the developers for that. I always appreciate being given early access to a game before the game is actually released, so that I can have my review available on day one when the game actually releases. So thanks very much to the developers, but this is just a game that I can't recommend. In the cases where I don't receive codes for a game, which is more than 50% of the time, in those cases I just have to buy the game myself, and in those cases your support on patreon.com/LFP is very much appreciated. I spend a couple $100 a month on games to do reviews, so I wouldn't be able to do that if I didn't have your support on patreon.com/LFP. So if you want to see more reviews from me, then that is a great way to support the channel. So yeah guys, that is pretty much it. I will leave a link to the game in the description below. Thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.